Good morning, everybody. And this weekend, we're going to be doing Amitabha Buddha practice. So think that you're going on a vacation with Amitabha Buddha for the weekend. Okay? So you're not going to Malaysia. You don't have to go through border security and have them check your stuff. Okay? But just think that, we're going to be in Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. So, what does that mean to imagine? Okay, it means that from our side, we're going to see everybody around us as kind, everybody around us as worthwhile, everybody around us as having the Buddha nature, as being a future Amitabha. So that means if you're seeing everybody in that way, that you can't sit there and pick faults. Oh, I know that it's so much fun to pick at other people's faults. Yeah, because when we pick at their faults, the conclusion is we're the best one in the world. Okay, but that doesn't coincide with the practice we're doing this weekend. Okay, so especially watch your mind and don't let your mind go to picking faults, to criticizing. Yeah, if it goes there, then bring it back and think there's another living being, another person who's just like me. They want to be happy and not suffer. Yeah, they're not evil. They're not doing anything, drastically horrible. And I can see them in a positive light and give them credit for the things that they do well and how they do contribute to our well-being. Okay, so this is a practice to do, and it's difficult to do because to do that you have to really watch your mind and how easily we start picking faults. Yeah. So when it's lunchtime, it's like, oh, they didn't make what I wanted. Oh, it's cold. They should heat it up. Oh, the lunch period is too short. No, the lunch period is too long. Yeah, all the time. Our mind is so distracted by these kinds of things. And it really makes us quite miserable. Yeah. So, watch the mind when it starts to do that. Okay. And especially when it starts spinning around, making up stories of how bad somebody is or how unfair the world is to you. Yeah, we talked about that last night, remember? All the stories we make up that we think are real. So notice them, yeah, and really say, are things really that horrible? Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of the to do during our practice time, during the break time also. Okay, so we'll be doing various things, and many of you are at different levels of practice. So I want to make sure that the people who are new understand why we do some things, and make sure some of the people who've been around for a while understand too. Because sometimes we go to Buddhist things, we just go along and we never ask, why are we doing this? What's the meaning? And that's really important, okay? Spiritual practice is not just robotic copying of what other people do, because that's what you're supposed to do. It's actually transforming our mind. So we have to make sure that we transform our mind. Nobody else can do that for us. Okay, so we have to be mindful and aware and then, do that ourselves. So let me ask some of the older students. We just did prostrations. Why?
To pay homage to the three jewels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and why do we pay homage to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha?
To accumulate merit and purify negativities.
Yeah, okay. And why do we need to accumulate merit and purify negativities?
So that we can achieve our goals, whether it's complete enlightenment or liberation, or even a better future lives.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, and also another reason why we do prostrations, it's to, he was saying to pay homage. So paying homage isn't just praising Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. When you're an enlightened being, you don't need people to praise you or bow to you for you to feel good about yourself. Okay? But rather, bowing helps us think about what are the qualities of the Buddha, yeah, and these are qualities that I admire, that I want to develop myself. So by praising those qualities, we're opening ourselves up, making ourselves more open vessels to be able to develop those qualities. Okay, because if we don't admire something, we're not going to go near it. And if we don't aspire to develop those qualities, we're not going to make the effort to do so. Okay. So then you saw me come up here and I offered incense. Why?
Morning, Bamber. We offer incense so that the Dharma can spread far and wide.
Mm-hmm. How does offering incense spread the Dharma?
I don't know.
Well, when you light the incense, smoke comes and the smoke goes out. Okay, so you can think when the perfume smoke is going out that you're spreading the Dharma. Also, incense and the smell from incense are symbolic of pure ethical conduct. Yeah, and pure ethical conduct is the basis of the path. Yeah, it's really important. In other words, we have to get our act together. I call pure ethical conduct getting our act together and stop acting like a jerk. Okay? Because when we do things that are harmful to others and create negative karma, yeah, we're harming others, we're harming ourselves. Yeah. And how can we practice a path in which we're trying to purify our mind and develop good qualities if we go around our normal daily life harming people? Those two things don't go together. Yeah. Sometimes people say, "Oh, yeah, on Sunday everybody goes and to temple, to church, and they pray, and they all look so pure and good. And then from Monday to Saturday, they cheat people, they lie to people, they, criticize people." Okay, and this has been a chief complaint that many people have against organized religion, is that people don't really practice what they preach. Yeah. So we're not expected to be perfect. If we were perfect, we wouldn't need to learn and practice. So we're not expecting ourselves to be perfect, but we're training. Okay? So we're training ourselves to reduce harmful actions, harmful speech, harmful thoughts, and to cultivate ones that are virtuous and that benefit ourselves and others. Okay, so offering incense represents that pure ethical conduct. Yeah, and like I was saying last night, for those of you who were here, one time when I was at Singapore Poly, this was what, 30 years ago? Yeah, yeah. There's several of the people from that group who are here now, and we had a discussion about what kind of qualities do you want to have in friends, and people, just came and shared the kind of qualities that they want their friends to have. And when we looked at the list afterwards, it came out very, very similar to what the Buddha described as keeping pure ethical conduct. Yeah. And we didn't start out the discussion with that intention, but it was interesting how just naturally, when we think, what kind of people, do we want to be friendly with? Well, people who don't lie, people who don't steal our stuff, people who don't talk behind our back. Yeah. So when we started to think about these qualities of friends, oh, this is exactly what the Buddha talked about. Yeah, the things to abandon and the things to practice. And so, when we study Buddhism, we should see that so much of it is common sense. Yeah, it's not, how to say, it's not a philosophy or a religion that is coming from outside, that is imposed on us, okay? But rather, it's the Buddha shared from his experience how he attained awakening, how he purified his mind, how he developed good qualities, what good qualities he developed, and then gave us the teachings on how to practice to do the same thing. Okay, so when we talk about virtuous karma or good deeds, things like that, it's things that we should see from our own experience are good. Yeah, the ethical discipline that we have isn't because Buddha said, "Thou shalt not do this," and if you do it, you're going to hell. This is not Buddhism. Yeah. So we have to be very clear about this. Yeah. The Buddha doesn't send anybody to heaven, doesn't send anybody to hell. The Buddha doesn't judge anybody. The Buddha simply described his own experience of how things operate. And then it's our choice, to check it out and see if it makes sense to us. And if it does, then to practice. And if it doesn't, put it on the back burner. Okay? So this weekend, when we're doing the Amitabha Buddhist sadhana, so I think people have a picture of Amitabha Buddha. Okay, this is in the Tibetan tradition how Amitabha looks. Okay, he's red, he's seated, his hands are in meditation position. In Chinese Buddhism, Amitabha looks different. Okay, there's no problem. Yeah, there's no problem. Yeah, in Chinese Buddhism, Amitabha is gold. Okay, this hand is holding a lotus at his heart, and this hand is extended in the gesture of giving refuge. Yeah, and he's standing up. He's not sitting down. Yeah, so it's okay. You can visualize either one you want. We put this one in because, I don't know, somebody got the Tibetan picture of Amitabha. But, you know, if it makes more sense, there's a statue of Amitabha up on that shelf. Oh, yeah. And one there on that screen. Yeah. So if you prefer, you know, then you can visualize that one too. So then the question comes, well, who is Amitabha? Okay. Can I meet him? Can I go shake his hand? And, you know, so there's various ways to see who Amitabha is. Okay. First of all, he's not a god. Okay. Again, he didn't create anything. He's not judging anybody, anything like that. He's somebody who practiced the path and attained full awakening. Okay, full awakening meaning all the defilements of the mind have been cleansed, all the good qualities have been developed. Okay, so there's various ways to see Amitabha Buddha. One is as somebody who has completed the path and done what we would like to do. So like a role model for us. Another way to see Amitabha is as a manifestation of the qualities that we want to develop. Okay, so if we think of compassion that is non-judgmental and unlimited and impartial, yeah, and we think of that quality manifesting in a physical way, then we think of Amitabha. And we can think of all the other Buddhas in that way as well. Okay, so in that way, Amitabha becomes symbolic of qualities that we want to develop. Yeah. Another way, a third way to think of Amitabha is as the Buddha that we want to become. So there's not just one Amitabha Buddha. Yeah, there can be many Amitabha Buddhas, no problem. Yeah, and they all look alike, no problem. You know, none of them are vying with each other. Hey, you copied my clothes. You know, where did you get those robes? You know, yeah, I got them at a really high class store. Don't you copy my stuff, wearing the cheap things. You know, there's none of that. You know, or like. And somebody who's impersonating me, or what's that thing? The expression double. Somebody who looks like somebody else. Double ganger, double ganger, huh? Double ganger. Okay, so somebody who looks like somebody else. Yeah. So there's sometimes they say Putin has one who's going out, and you know, so on. Okay, so it's not like one Amitabha's looking at the other and saying, "Oh, you're a doppelganger." Yeah, what a strange word. Yeah, you're a copycat, and don't you try and impersonate me. There's no problem like that. We shouldn't think of Buddhas as we think of ordinary beings. They don't have that same kind of ego problem that we do. And the reason we're practicing is to get rid of our ego problem, because our ego problem makes us actually quite miserable. Yeah? Why? Well, just look at your eyes. Yeah? Whenever you're unhappy, what's going on? What's going on? Whenever I'm unhappy. First of all, it's I'm unhappy. It's not you're unhappy. You're unhappy? I hope you get better. I'm unhappy? It's a big deal. Right? Yeah. My kid, or your kid flunked the spelling test. That's okay. My kid flunked the spelling test. national catastrophe. Yeah? So we see that anything that is related to I or mine becomes a very big deal. Yeah. As soon as something becomes a big deal, we become very sensitive to everything that concerns it. So when I and mine are a big deal, then I want to have everything I like. Okay. And I don't want to encounter anything I don't like. So what do we have? Attachment. I want this. I like that. I'm better than so and so. Yeah. I know more than people. People don't appreciate me. People aren't fair to me. Everything becomes seen, the whole world becomes seen through these tiny glasses called me, I, my, and mine. So there's almost 8 billion human beings on this planet now. If we think of the fish and the sea creatures and the insects and the birds, you know, we human beings are far outnumbered. I mean, there's trillions of living beings on this, on this planet. But who it becomes the most important one of all of them? Yeah. Is it somebody you don't like? No, it's me. Okay, I'm more important than anybody else. So then we move through our life just grasping at what we want, pushing away what we don't want, getting angry at people who impede our getting what we want, getting mad at people who don't have the same beliefs as we do, or who don't have the same manners that we think are proper, or the same political views. You know, everything gets interpreted through the eyes of me, I, my, and mine. And if you look around, I mean, why is there war in the Middle East? Why is there war between Ukraine and Russia? Why don't we get along with our family members? Yeah, it all comes down to grasping ourselves as this concrete thing and then saying, I'm more important than anybody else. Okay, what I do is always good. Yeah, I never make mistakes. And last night I talked about our rules of the universe. Everything, me, 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 me. Okay, and that actually has the effect of making us miserable because we become so sensitive to every small thing. And we anticipate people harming us or insulting us. Yeah. And then we prime ourselves. I know I'm going to go into that room and they're all going to look at me very critically. Yeah. How do you know? You don't know. Yeah. You're just saying and I happen to be a little bit skittish and kind of afraid, and I'm afraid of people judging me. So I judge them first and say, they're not going to they're going to look at me with very critical eyes. And so I prime myself to be criticized. Whereas if we meet people and we think, oh, there's people who have had really different life experiences than I've had. Yeah, they've been born in different places, they believe in different things. I can talk to them and it's going to be really interesting because I'll learn something new and I'll gain some different perspectives. Yeah, then you talk to somebody, you have a good time, you have a good conversation. But if you go in thinking, oh, they're not going to like me, they're part of the in group, I'm not, then you're going to have a miserable time. Yeah, it's amazing when we look how powerful our mind is and how powerful our thoughts are and how wrong sometimes our thoughts are. Yeah, totally, yeah, erroneous thoughts that we believe in. Sometimes even the way we talk about ourselves, yeah, we put ourselves down, we criticize ourselves, we think that we're really awful people. Yeah, watch what you say to yourself. Watch yourself talk. Yeah. Oh, I can't do anything good. Yeah, do you say that to yourself? Sometimes I can't do anything very well. Nobody likes me. Nobody loves me. Nobody really cares about me. In school, I didn't do as well as all these other people. I have no artistic ability, no athletic ability, no musical ability. All these other people are better than I am. Huh? Any of you talk to yourself like that? Mm-hmm. You can admit it. We're all in the same basket. Huh? If somebody cares about me, they must be crazy. Why would anybody care about me? I can't do anything right. So look at that stuff, the way we talk to ourselves. Yeah. And then ask yourself, is that true? Okay. I can't do anything right. I'm sure you can make a cup of tea. I'm sure you know how to open the refrigerator and get something to eat. You know how to talk. You know how to read and write. Yeah. Well, whatever you do at your job requires some skill that other people don't have. Yeah. When you look, you know a lot of things and you do a lot of things right. So why do we talk to ourselves with this very extremist language of I can't do anything right when that is not true? In other words, we are lying to ourselves. Yeah. And it's a lie that by putting ourselves down, it limits who we are. It limits the qualities we can develop. If we say, I can't learn anything, I'm too stupid, or I can't learn, or I can't do anything right, then yeah, that's what's going to happen. Yeah, in this conjunction, I often talk about my experience. I was an elementary school teacher before I became a nun. And I was teaching, this was a third grade class in the US. And there was a little boy named Tyrone in that class. And somebody, somewhere along the line, had told Tyrone that he was stupid. And he believed it. Yeah. So why some adults said that to him? Probably they were angry because he spilled milk or whatever. Okay. But he, from there, started to think, I'm stupid. I can't learn to read. And when he was holding on to that thought of, I can't learn to read, he couldn't learn to read. Yeah. But I knew Tyrone was not stupid. And I knew the biggest obstacle for him to learning to read was not, dyslexia or something like that, or eyesight or whatever. It was because he thought he couldn't do it. Yeah. So all of us have those particular kinds of things too. Yeah. And we put ourselves down. When we're doing the Amitabha Buddha practice, we have to do it with a sense of, I can become like Amitabha Buddha. Okay. Amitabha Buddha is not going to save me. He doesn't like swish down and extend his hand and we hold his hand and he takes us to his pure land. Not like that. Okay. But he teaches us the path. And when we practice the path, we change. Yeah. We are not permanent people. We change. And so we develop good qualities. Okay. So that's why we're doing the practice. And we're not just doing it so that we change and we become awakened, but we're doing it because when we look out at the world, there's all these incredible number of living beings who want to be happy and don't want to suffer just like me. And they've all been happy, they've all been helpful to me in one way or another in this life, in previous lives, they will be in future lives. So there's really nothing so special about me, and especially if I've received so much kindness and benefit from others, I want to pay it back, or I want to pay it forward so that other people will receive this kind of kindness. Okay, so we don't just practice for our own benefit. Yeah, we really include everybody. And we know that by ourselves learning more and improving, then we become better able to be of benefit to others. Yeah. How we benefit others, it's going to be different for each one of us because we all have unique talents and abilities. I mean, some common qualities will definitely be helpful. Yeah. And we'll try and be as kind as we possibly can be to others. But, there's so many special ways to benefit others. Yeah? And we all have our own special ways. And that's good. Yeah. I live in a monastery. There's 24 monastics in it. And we were just talking the other day about how in this group of 24 people, everybody has different talents. Yeah. And so it's really nice when you live together with people who have different talents. Because even if you can't do something, somebody else in the group can. And then you rejoice at what they were able to do. And, and when you rejoice, you create some of the good energy, some of the merit from that. Yeah. So instead of being jealous of other people, yeah, you think this is the group I am part of. And wow, look what we're able to do. This is fantastic. I don't have to be the person who does it. Okay. And I think that's important, not to keep comparing ourselves to others. That's really a dead end. and not always being competitive, trying to be better than others, and not putting ourselves down because other people have different qualities and abilities and knowledge than we do. Yeah. I mean, I have to be honest. Yeah. If I were the best one in this universe or for this planet, yeah, we would not be sitting here today doing this practice. Why? I don't know how to build buildings. All I know about electricity is how to change a light bulb and how to flick a switch. I don't know anything about plumbing except how to flush the toilet and how to turn the tap on and off. Yeah. I don't know how to build any of this stuff. I don't know how to make any of it. I'm completely dependent on other people. Yeah. So why should I be arrogant and think I'm so great? There's lots of things I don't know that I'm completely dependent on other people to do because I simply can't. Yeah. So if you think like that, then your mind is much more at peace because there's not this constant comparing ourselves with others and putting ourselves down. Yeah. But seeing that we all have good qualities and we all use them. Okay? So let's just look at the Amitabha Buddha's sadhana. And we'll go through it a few different times. Yeah. So the first time we go through it, I'm just going to explain the different sections and why we do them. I'm not going to go line by line, but just give you the general outline of why we do something and what it means. And then we'll go through it again and we'll actually do the practice. Okay. So look at the top of the page in the sadhana. The first section is taking refuge, generating the altruistic intention, and the four immeasurables. Okay, so the first thing that we do at the beginning of any practice is we have to be clear in our mind who our spiritual guides are and what direction we're taking. Okay, so here when we take refuge, we're turning to the Buddha, somebody who has eliminated all defilements and developed all good qualities. The Dharma, which can mean the teachings. Sometimes it means the path. Sometimes it means the ultimate reality of the mind. Okay. And the Sangha. Okay. And here the Sangha means people who have directly perceived reality. Yeah. And monastics, wearing robes, are symbolic of that Sangha jewel. Okay. So we're often called the Sangha, but the real Sangha you take refuge in is those who have that experience, that realization. Okay. So by taking refuge, we're saying these are my guides. This is the path I'm following. Okay? So we're getting clear in our mind what we're doing. Otherwise, it's like, well, let's see, maybe I can do something with Hinduism at the beginning of the practice, and then some Christianity in the middle, and then some Buddhism, and then, some Islam, and I cap the whole thing off with what is it? Witchcraft. Okay, so we're not confused about the path. We know where we're going. Then, so that's taking refuge, generating the altruistic intention. Altruistic intention, the Sanskrit term for that is bodhicitta, okay? And it's referring to the aspiration to become a fully awakened Buddha for the benefit of all beings. So taking refuge is who we're following on the path, and the altruistic intention is why we're following this path. Okay, why are we following it? It's not just for our own liberation. It's not just for our own happiness. Yeah, but we see how we are interrelated with other living beings. And as we develop our good qualities and progress along the path, then we can be of greater and greater benefit to other living beings. And actually, eventually, become a fully awakened one who can do the greatest benefit to others. Okay, so what we're following and why we're following it. And then the 4 measurables are these beautiful practices to help us increase our altruism. Yeah. And so these 4 measurables, love. Okay, so love in Buddhism has a very specific meaning. Don't think of the songs on the radio. Don't think of movies. Oh, I love you for all eternity. No, that's usually more attachment. But love, yeah, in a Buddhist sense, means the wish for somebody to have happiness and the causes of happiness. Yeah, that's a whole thing to think about in and of itself. What does it mean to have happiness? We've all experienced it. But when we're asked, what does it mean to be happy? It's difficult for us to come up with it. And when somebody asks us, what are the causes of happiness? We usually look outside of ourselves. What's the cause of happiness? This beautiful candle. Yeah, isn't it beautiful? It makes me so happy. Plus, it's mine. Yeah, Pure Land didn't know that they were giving it to me. Yeah. And what else makes me happy? Oh, this thermos. It's so much nicer than the one I have at home that's all bent up. Yeah. And the water is just the perfect temperature. Yeah. So we think happiness comes from outside. What else makes me happy? Oh, at the end, when you all say, oh, thank you so much. The day was so wonderful. You're such a good teacher. And I go, that must mean I'm a good person because other people said so. It does. If other people say we're a good person, does that mean we're a good person? If other people say we're a bad person, does that mean we're a bad person? We have to think about these things. If we don't think about them, our wrong ideas run our lives. Okay. Do you think because somebody praises you, that means you're good? I'm sure that the Hamas people who, terrorized Israel on October 7th, I'm sure they came back and praised each other. Lots of high fives. Oh, you killed so many people. Whee! You got so many more hostages. Whee! You're such a good, person working for our cause. Does that mean that person's good? They went out and murdered some other people? Yeah. When Israel's dropping bombs on Gaza, does that mean they're good? Because the Israelis say, yippee. Think about it. Okay. When you lie and you take some advantage of other people and get something because you lied, and somebody says, good going, you're very clever. Does that make you a good person? Yeah. If you went to help somebody with a real sincere mind of wanting to be a benefit, and that person got mad at you instead, have you ever tried to help somebody and they get mad at you? Yeah. Maybe you have a relative or a friend who has a substance abuse problem, and you go and you say to them, you know, you're drinking and drugging too much. This isn't very good. You need to get your life cleaned up. And they get furious at you. What do you mean? I'm not drinking too much. I'm not an alcoholic. Mind your own business. Because they got mad at us, does that make us a bad person? When we were trying to give them advice that would help them live a better life? And we were giving the advice because we sincerely cared about them. Okay. So, really think, what other people say about us, is that who we are? Mm-hmm. I once went to my teacher many years ago. I was director of a center, and oh my goodness, when you're director of something, the first, everybody wants to be leadership, right? You want to be the leader. The first quality or the first thing in the job description of a leader is that in the eyes of all the people you lead, everything bad that happens is your fault. Yeah? So you better get used to being criticized, because that's part of the job of being a leader. Yeah. So I was, this was a small group of people, and I was in a leadership position, and some people were unhappy with me, although from my side, I was just doing my best, what I thought was good. Anyway, I went to see my teacher, yeah, and, leave it to me, where do I go? And I see my teacher, and I complain. Yeah, complain is something I do very well. Yeah, many things I don't do well, but I can really complain well. So if you ever need a complaint, let me know. And I will come up for a few of them that you can give to other people. Okay, so I went and complained to my teacher, oh, I'm trying so hard, to be a good director, and they're criticizing me, and na. Yeah. And my teacher looks at me and he says, well, people criticize the Buddha too. I was really wanting some sympathy. I wanted him to say, I know that you're doing your best, but these people are very short-sighted and they just can't see all your good qualities. Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. Yeah, is that what my teacher said? No, because if he had said that, I would have just gotten arrogant. Instead, what he said was something that was useful for me to think about. Oh, people criticize the Buddha too. Oh, well, if people criticize the Buddha, of course they're going to criticize me. If they can't see the good qualities of a fully awakened one who has lots of good qualities, then they're certainly not going to see my minuscule good qualities. Yeah. So that, it was one short sentence he said, but it really set me thinking. Yeah. What somebody else thinks about me is not who I am. I'm the one who has to evaluate my own actions. I'm the one who knows my motivation. If I did something pure with a real intention to benefit, or if I did the same action but with the intention to manipulate, or the intention to get something for myself out of the other person. I'm the one who has to look inside and see what my motivation was. Okay, so I have to learn how to evaluate myself and not just rely on what other people think. Yeah, because what other people think is what they're perceiving through their colored glasses of me, I, my, and mine. Okay, so they're just like me, just as I perceive everything in terms of how it relates to me and my ideas, my opinions, so is everybody else. Really, when they see me, that's how they're looking. So there's no objective people out there. They are what we make of them. Yeah. And so for ourselves, it's really important that we learn how to evaluate our own actions. Yeah. Okay. So 4 measurables. I said I wasn't going to talk a lot about all these, but oh well. You're stuck here for the morning, so you got to listen. So love, the wish for others to have happiness and its causes. Yeah. Which, like I said, makes us think about what is happiness and what are its causes. Yeah, its causes are not outside. What's outside of us are conditions. The causes are our actions, our karma. Okay, what we say and think and do. Those are the real causes of our happiness, not something outside. Because if this tissue box were the cause of my happiness, now you might laugh, tissue box being the cause of your happiness. Well, let me tell you, when I lived in India back in the 70s, we didn't have tissue boxes. Yeah. And toilet paper was super expensive. So if somebody who was coming from outside India brought a tissue box, not even a big one, but a small one, oh my goodness, I was so happy. Yeah. And if they brought a roll of toilet paper, I was even happier. Yeah. Now we laugh at that now, but when you don't have some things, then the value, how they appear in your eyes changes. So this tissue box, I would have really hit the jackpot. Okay. It's not only has nice tissues, but it's big and it's a pretty tissue box. And I like everything that's pretty. So, but then somebody else comes along and takes my tissue box, and they mean to take one tissue from it, but they accidentally fling it across the room or across the street, and it lands in a mud puddle. Okay, and here, the cause of my happiness, this tissue, is now in the mud. What happens to me? my precious tissue is gone. And now I don't even have tissue to blow my nose with when I cry. Oh, this is horrible. Okay, what I'm getting at is when we rely on an external person, an external object, and think that that is the ultimate cause of our happiness, we're going to be disappointed because that thing can break real easily. Yeah. And, you know, what used to make you happy now doesn't. Yeah. Have you ever had a really close friend and then something happened between you and you can't stand that person? Yeah. Yeah. So somebody who was you thought was the cause of your happiness now becomes the cause of your suffering. Actually, they were never the cause of your happiness to start with, and they were never the cause of your suffering to start with. Yeah. Your karma and the way you were looking at that person was the cause of your happiness and suffering. Yeah. So at the Abbey, we have pets. We have lots of animals, but the pets are 4 cats. Yeah. So my cat she's really not my cat. I just call her my cat. But she's so cute. I know Singaporeans don't like cats. Yeah, that's because you just don't appreciate things. Yeah. We have Singaporeans who come to the Abbey and they look at the cats and they go, ew. Yeah. So, yeah. But in my eyes, the cat who lives in my cabin is just such a good friend and so sweet. Yeah. Until I pick her up in the wrong way and then she goes, yeah, and I have a big scratch. So what gives you happiness can also be the same thing that gives you pain. Yeah. And whether I see the cat as the source of my happiness and I want her to come sit in my lap and I pet her, or if I were Singaporean, to see the cat as a source of dirt and dead mice and get me away from them, the cat is the same. It's just how we're looking at it. Yeah, we should have a treatment program for Singaporeans who hate cats. Yeah, so that you can appreciate the good things in life. Yeah, and it's not durian. You people like durian? You think durian gives you happiness? Do you like durian? No, me neither. Oh. So, okay. So that's love, the wish for somebody. It doesn't matter whether we like them. It doesn't matter whether they agree with us or not. They're a sentient being. They're a living being. And deep in their heart, the most important thing for them is to have happiness and be free of suffering. So I wish them to have happiness and be free of suffering. Now somebody is going to look at me and say, oh, so you think that all the Hamas terrorists should have happiness in its causes? That they should, what brings them happiness? Committing all these atrocities? You think that Israel should have happiness in its causes and that they should be delighted when they bomb, Gaza and kill thousands of people? Yeah, is this what you're saying? You love sentient beings, so you want them to, have success in all of their horrible endeavors. No, that's not what it means to wish somebody to have happiness in its causes. Because if I wish them that, the actions they're doing, are ethically horrendous, aren't they? Yeah. And so actions that are ethically horrendous create what we call negative karma. And negative karma, the energy traces left from those actions, brings us suffering. Yeah. So wishing them to have happiness in its causes is not loving them. If I loved, Hamas and Israel, I would want, my aspiration for them was that they be free of hatred. Yeah, if I really wish them well, I wish that they are free of hatred. I would wish that both of them could live peacefully without feeling afraid of the other. I would wish that both of them had ample crops and their children were safe and their children had a good education. Okay? And what's interesting is if I wish something well for the people who do harm, wouldn't it be wonderful if they had those things? Then they wouldn't be harming others. Yeah. Why are Hamas and Israel doing these things? Because they're miserable, they're unhappy. So this takes us to compassion, which is the second of the four immeasurables. So compassion is the wish for living beings to be free of suffering and to be free of all unsatisfactory experiences, including birth, age, sickness, and death. Yeah. So compassion, wanting them to be free of unhappiness and misery. Yeah, and we wish that also for people who who harm others, because if they were free of their unhappiness, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing that harms others. Yeah? So whenever we see somebody doing a harmful action, instead of our first thought being, oh, they're a horrible, evil person, which is not true, we think they're an unhappy person. Yeah? Unhappy people should be the object of our compassion, should be the people that we wish well. Don't you think? Because if they were happy, they wouldn't be doing the actions that they're doing that harm others and harm themselves at the same time. So that's immeasurable compassion. Then the third of the four immeasurables is immeasurable joy. So that means when people have good opportunities, when they do virtuous activities, when things are going well in their life, when their Dharma practice is really able to change their minds, we rejoice. Yeah. Childish beings, remember last night I talked about childish beings? Childish beings, when other people do well or have good opportunities, do they rejoice? No, they get jealous. And they think, oh, why are you having that opportunity? I deserve it. I should have that. Yeah. Why do you get more acknowledgement than I do when I do even better than you? You get the trophies, you get the diplomas, you get the write-up in the newspaper, you get mom and dad praising you. How come I don't? Yeah. So that's a very worldly way of thinking. Yeah. And jealousy is incredibly painful. Yeah. I don't know about you, but when I think, when I'm jealous and I look at the state of my mind, it's so painful. Yeah. Because I hate the fact that somebody else has happiness. And I think I should have it instead. And there's nothing I can do, that is within my ethical code anyway, to take their happiness away from them and give it to myself. I can try, yeah. This is what happens in love triangles. You're with somebody, the person you with looks at somebody else, you get jealous. So what do? You badmouth that person, you badmouth the person you like, you do anything to interfere with their relationship. Yeah, does it make you happy? It actually brings a whole lot of problems. Okay, why not rejoice? Why not rejoice? Oh, you're crazy. I'm going to rejoice because my boyfriend has a new girlfriend. Yeah, you're nuts. There was, when I lived at a monastery in Europe many years ago, there was one older nun, older woman who had just ordained, and she had been married for a number of years, and then her husband got attracted to somebody who was much younger than her and, left. So she was a nun now. She was celibate, she wasn't married, but still inside there was a little bit of a thought of, she stole my husband, and she has the happiness that comes from him. And I said to her name was Claudine, I said, Claudine, think about it. Now she has to pick up his dirty clothes. She has to wash his dirty dishes. She has to deal with him when he's in a bad mood. Yeah, you should have compassion for her, not jealousy. Yeah. Okay. Think about it. Wish the other person happiness. Let them go. Okay, so joy, rejoice, or immeasurable joy, rejoicing at others' success, at their happiness, at their spiritual attainments. Yeah, you don't get jealous. Oh, you realized emptiness before I did. Oh, you generated bodhicitta before I did. Oh, I'm so jealous. Yeah, how dare you do that? Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, but you see, jealousy is craziness. Mhm. Okay, then the fourth of the four immeasurables is immeasurable equanimity. Okay, equanimity means that we're free from attachment to our friends, aversion to people we don't like, and apathy towards everybody else. Okay? Because most of our lives, we're very deeply rooted in attachment to my friends. This is my friend. They make me happy. I don't want them to leave me. Okay? And if they need something, I will go out of my way to help them. Okay. But this person over here is my enemy. They criticize me. They steal my stuff. Yeah, they talk behind my back. And they're a Republican. They voted for Trump. Ah, get them away from me. Okay? Yeah, you people are so fortunate you don't have the same political situation as we do in the States. Anybody here else is American who has to deal with this? None of you? Oh, you should feel sorry for me. Okay. So we usually, we're partial towards the friends. The people that we don't like, who disagree with us, yeah, we're partial against them. And everybody else, who cares? They don't influence me one way or another. And we go through our life like that, just dividing people up into categories and relating them, thinking that our friend is a good person from their side and our enemy is a bad person from their side, that it has nothing to do with my mind and how I'm looking at them. We think that, but that's not actually true. If it were true, if people were objectively good and objectively bad, then everybody would see other people exactly the same. Yeah, but that's not how it is. One person we like, somebody else thinks is a jerk. Somebody else somebody else who likes somebody we think is a creep. Yeah. Are they either one of them? No, it's our prejudice mind that puts them in these categories according to how they relate to me. Because I'm the center of the universe. So if they help me, they've got to be a good person. If they harm me, they've got to be a bad person. Yeah. If they harm somebody else who I don't like, right on. Yeah. So this fourth of the four measurables gives us, as we work to generate it, it gives us much more peace. Our mind becomes much more open towards everybody because we stop judging them in terms of how they affect me. And instead, we keep cultivating the feeling that they're just like me. They want happiness. They don't want suffering. Okay. And the more we can go through life looking at people that way, the happier we're going to be. Because then everywhere we go, we will see kind people. And we will see people who could be potential friends. And we'll talk to them. And even if they have different views than we do, that's okay. It'll still be interesting for us to learn how they see life. And we'll grow from it. Okay. So we got through one section. Well, at least it was one section. I should tell you, my first teacher, he would explain something would have a certain topic, and he would spend, if the class was going to be, let's say, an hour and a half long, he would spend an hour talking about the motivation, and then a half an hour talking about the topic of the class. And we would very seldom finish anything. Yeah. So I am a disciple of my teacher. and I will talk about something for a while and then move on to the next topic when I feel like it. Yeah. And why do I do this? Because, I could have come with a whole presentation, with slides and 1, 2, 3, 4, and given you a lecture about all this stuff. Okay. Well, for me, that's not my style. If I had everything pre-planned, then it would be very stiff. Yeah. But if I'm talking to real people in their presence, then I have to adjust what I say according to the audience. Yeah. If I'm giving a presentation and I have to get through all my slides, I can't adjust things according to the audience. And everybody may be sitting there going, but I just carry on. Whereas, if I do something a little bit more freestyle, because I think it's not just what happens in a good meeting or a good talk or whatever, it happens between the teacher and the students. It's both of them playing a role in it. Okay? When you people are listening, and I can see the expression on your faces changing when you're hearing different things because you're thinking about it, then that affects me and what I share with you. Whereas if, you're sitting there and you take out your phone and you're doing this, and every once in a while look up and then go back, then I better change what I'm talking about and what I'm saying, because we're not communicating. Okay. Let's go on to the next section, the visualization of Guru Amitabha Buddha. Okay, so here we're using a special capacity of our mind, which is to imagine, to visualize. Visualize does not mean to see with your eyes, as if your eyes are closed and what you're seeing is complete technicolor. Okay, it's not like, what are those new AI machines that you put on? Yeah, like this, and pilots are using them. And then, you get all the scenes here and you learn how to crash land the plane and stuff like that. What are those things called? Yeah, virtual what? Virtual reality. Okay. So it's not like virtual reality. You just close your eyes and then you're watching a movie that it's somebody else is making. Okay? This is rather you're using your imagination to visualize. Now, some people go, I can't visualize anything. Okay, so I'm going to challenge you here. Visualize a bowl of vegetable soup. Okay? Or visualize, do you eat pizza? How many of you eat pizza? Some of you? Oh, okay. Oh, my friends. You like the same thing I like, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, just think of a bowl of soup. Think of a pizza. You see it in your mind's eye, don't you? If I say, think of your mom, do you have an image in your mind's eye? Even with these eyes open, you know what your mom looks like. Okay, that's visualization. Okay, so when we're talking about visualizing Amitabha Buddha, it's in that way that we are imagining being in the presence of a fully awakened being. Okay? So it's not just generating an image like, you have to, I don't know, you're developing some computer program and you have to imagine what it's look like. It's not like that. This is generating an image and you have an emotional connection. Yeah. Because you're imagining sitting in the presence of a fully awakened being, yeah, who is not going to judge you, because Buddhists have overcome anger and criticism and picking faults. Okay. Can you imagine somebody looking at you without any judgment? Can you imagine you looking at somebody else and accepting that they're looking at you with a totally open mind of compassion? Yeah, that can sometimes be hard at the beginning. Yeah, but that's what we're doing here. Yeah, we're imagining being in the presence of an awakened being who does not judge, but who looks at us with kindness, who rejoices in our virtue and our merit, and somebody who is going to stick by us and teach us the path. Okay? So we try and generate the visualization as clear as we can, but it's not something where you go like this, Oh, I gotta see Amitabha. Okay, I got the left side of his face, but I can't get the right side of his face. No, don't do that. Yeah. One reason that we have statues is because we can, and paintings is we can look, and then we close our eyes and we visualize. Okay. So above, what you're visualizing is above your head, the crown of your head, there's an open lotus flower, okay, like this, but there's no candle on top of it. There's a lotus, and then a flat moon disk and a sun disk, and on top of that is Guru Amitabha Buddha. Yeah, he's sitting in the Vajra position. Okay, some people call this the lotus position. It's not the lotus position, it's the Vajra position. Okay, although maybe somebody calls it the lotus position, and that's how everybody in their group thinks of that, that's okay. Okay, so his holy body is radiant, it's made of light, and it's ruby red. He has one face and two hands, and his hands are in the gesture of meditation. So that's the right palm on the left palm. The thumbs are like this. Yeah, except they're not sticking up in front of you. This is in your lap against your body. Okay, so he's sitting like that. And he's holding an alms bowl filled with the elixir of immortality. Okay, so the elixir of being able to live, have a long life. Yeah. In Buddhism, having a long life, there's a regular long life like we ordinary beings want to have. But when we talk about a Buddha, with long life, it means that somebody is beyond the cycle of samsara, beyond dying and taking birth and dying and taking birth under the influence of afflictions and karma. Okay, so his alms bowl is filled with the elixir of immortality. He wears saffron-colored robes, indicating ethical purity. So everything about him is symbolic of an inner quality. His crown is marked by a shining white Om. So here, when we're talking about the crown, at the beginning, on the crown of his head is up here, outside. When we talk about where the Om is, we're thinking right below the crown of the head. Okay? So there's this syllable made of white light, an Om, which represents the Buddha's body. At his throat, a radiant red Ah, which symbolizes a Buddha's speech. And at his heart, a radiant blue letter Hum, symbolizing the enlightened mind. Okay, so that's how you're visualizing Amitabha Buddha. If you wish, you can visualize the Chinese Amitabha. Okay, whatever you feel most comfortable doing. Yeah, and then, so he's in front of you. Yeah, people say, how far in front of me? 5 feet, 10 feet, 2 inches, just a comfortable distance. Yeah, they say, yeah, like around here. But it could be a little further in. Don't get uptight is what I'm saying about these details. Yeah, so he's in front of you. How big? Make him a size that, again, feels comfortable to you. When I visualize, well, sometimes he's this big, sometimes he's this big, you know? So that's okay. Actually, I just realized when I think, oh, I'm visualizing him and he's this big, actually, I'm visualizing him smaller. I don't know. Anyway, in front of you. And he's looking at you with kindness and without any judgment. From the Hung at his heart, light rays shines forth, filling all of space. And this light especially penetrates Amitabha's Pure Land. Okay, Amitabha's Pure Land is a place that Amitabha Buddha created out of his virtue, yeah, where sentient beings can be born and where everything is conducive for your Dharma practice there. Yeah, so you don't have to pay taxes. You don't, everything around you reminds you of the Dharma. Everything around you is quite beautiful and inspires you to practice. Yeah, so he created that land where living beings can be born if they aspire to that. Okay, so it penetrates his Pure Land and invokes Amitabha Buddha. Yeah, and then the great lion-like bodhisattvas. So there's 8 great bodhisattvas, yeah, who are there, as well as a vast assembly of male and female bodhisattvas who reside in his Pure Land is called the Land of Great Bliss, or Sukhavati in Sanskrit. So the light rays from Amitabha's home go out to his Pure Land and invoke, many, many Amitabha Buddhas, many bodhisattvas, and they all, we imagine that they're all made of light and they all come back and absorb into the Amitabha Buddha that we've visualized in front of us. Why do we do that? Because when we first visualize Amitabha, we might think, this is just my visualization. Amitabha's not here. But, an enlightened being isn't located in one particular place. Yeah, their mind is omniscient. So Amitabha can be there when we imagine light going out and invoking him and all of the bodhisattvas and everything in and drawing that back into him. From our mind, psychologically, it gives us more faith that Amitabha is there and the bodhisattvas are there. Okay, so they all come back, they enter through Amitabha's crown chakra, descend through the center of his body, and absorb into his heart. In Buddhism, when we talk about the heart, we're not talking about this one that's beating. We're talking about the center of your chest, the heart chakra. And so you develop that visualization and you hold that as single-pointedly as you can. Okay, then we do the 7 limb prayer. So the 7 limb prayer, the purpose is to help us purify our mind and to create merit. Merit means goodness, positive potential. First thing we do, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind in heartfelt faith and admiration. Okay, so we're generating faith and admiration and bowing to Amitabha, not because he needs it, but because we need to reduce our arrogance and pride and be open to what he's going to teach us. Okay, second limb, and make actual and mentally imagined exquisite offerings that fill the sky. So we imagine everything beautiful. Yeah. So flowers and incense and brilliant lights and music and sweet smells and delicious food. And so you can really, do a good job with this because we know how to daydream about what we like, don't we? Yeah. That bowl of soup, you knew exactly what was in it. That pizza, you knew what kind of dressing, what kind of stuff was on top of it. So here, everything you consider beautiful, yeah, and you offer them. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be something that you own, like, okay, I give Amitabha this thermos. Actually, I don't own it, but I can offer it even though I don't own it because I'm just mentally offering it. Yeah, it stays here. I use it. Actually, it belongs to Pure Land. It doesn't, belong to me. Yeah. So we make offerings. But why do we make offerings? Well, it's nice to offer beautiful things to the beings who we respect. Yeah, it feels good to do that. Third of the 7 limb prayer, I reveal and confess every destructive action I have done since beginning this time. So we've all done things that we regret doing. Unless there's somebody here who has never done anything that they regret having done. Yeah. Yeah. Think about it. Have you done things that you regret? And you say, oh, how could I have said that? Or how could I have done that? Yeah. So sometimes when we do things that we regret, we feel very guilty about it. And we get into this thing again of criticizing ourselves. Oh, look what I did. I cheated somebody. I lied to somebody. Oh, I'm such an awful person. Oh, this is terrible. I feel so guilty. Nobody's going to respect me if they know what I've done. Okay? And you really imprison yourself through feelings of guilt and shame and so on. Yeah, and sometimes we even have the wrong view that the worse we feel, the more we're purifying. The worse we feel, the more we're atoning for whatever we did. That all is baloney, okay? We, instead of feeling guilty and shame, feel regret, okay? When we feel regret, we regret the action. We do not judge ourselves as being a horrible person. We just regret the action. Okay, it's like if this thermos were filled with boiling water, I unscrew it, I take a sip of boiling water and I go, because it burns all the way down. Do I feel guilty for drinking that boiling water? No. Do I regret drinking boiling water? You bet. Okay? So that's the kind of attitude we want to have towards actions we've done that we don't feel good about. We regret them, but we don't feel guilty. Yeah? And by having that regret, that helps us release the negativity. Yeah? It's good to feel regret and remorse for our bad deeds, but we have to be very careful and not go to, therefore, I'm a bad person. There is no such thing as a bad person. Repeat, there is no such thing as a bad person. Yeah. People sometimes come and say, is there evil? Is there an evil person? This is very popular in the press now. They talk about this is evil and that's evil. No, there's not an evil person. There's a person who is ignorant, who is doing harmful actions because they're unhappy and they want to be happy and they don't know what the actual causes of happiness are. Yeah, so they're not evil. It's not like, sometimes we like to say, oh, that person is just pure evil, as if everything they do is harmful. No, not everything they do is harmful. Yeah. I remember one of the first classes I was taking with my teacher, and he was talking like this, and somebody raised their hand and said, well, what about Hitler and Mao Zedong and Stalin? Aren't they evil? And my teacher said, they means well, dear. He couldn't speak English real well. They means well, dear. And he called everybody dear. In other words, those people doing harmful, horrendous actions, thought that they were creating the causes of happiness. That is the depth of their ignorance. Yeah. So aren't ignorant living beings who do harmful things, shouldn't they be the object of our compassion, not the object of our hatred and our condemnation? Yeah, think about it. Think about it. Your worst enemy, somebody who's really hurt you, or somebody whose actions you really disapprove of. Yeah? They were trying to be happy, and they didn't know what the actual causes of happiness were. And that's tragic. That's actually tragic when somebody is in that state. And sometimes when we've done our mistaken actions, we've been in that state too. Things that we thought were good, that would bring us happiness, and so we just charged ahead with them. And then later on, we said, why did I do that? Yeah, what was I thinking? Well, we weren't thinking very well. So I regret that, and I'm going to really work very hard to abandon doing that kind of action in the future. And then we do some kind of purification practice of, creating merit and developing kindness and clarity and wisdom in our own minds. And so we're able to purify that karma. Okay, then the fourth one, third one was confession. Fourth one, and rejoice in the countless virtues done by ordinary beings and the inconceivable virtues accumulated by Aryas. Aryas are beings who have seen the nature of reality directly. Okay, so this is rejoicing, what I spoke about before. Yeah. And then so that was 4. Then 5, please, Guru Amitabha, remain in your present Vajra form until cyclic existence ends. Yeah. And turn the wheel of Dharma to benefit sentient beings. That's number 6. So here we're asking all the different manifestations of Buddha, especially Amitabha, to if they manifest in our world as living beings, to please remain a long time and to be in good health. This is those of us who are followers of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, this is what we often pray for, his long life and good health. And not just that we want these Buddhists to live long and good health, but we want them to teach us, okay? Because how does the Buddha help us the most? By teaching us the path. Yeah, that's the biggest help any living being really can give us, is to teach us the path to awakening. So we're requesting teachings. And this is important to do, to really request the teachings in our mind, because it shows that we're sincere, that the Buddha's teachings are important to us, that they're meaningful to us, that we want to hear them, that we can see their benefit. Okay. And then the 7th of the 7 limb prayer is I dedicate all past, present, and future virtues of myself and others to the full awakening of myself and all others. Okay, so here, this is the first 3 parts of the practice. Yeah, refuge, bodhicitta, 4 immeasurables, then setting the tone for it, visualizing Amitabha, then doing the 7 limb prayer, and that's how we are relating to Amitabha, the kind of conversation we're having with him. Okay, and now it is lunchtime. Yeah, so we're also going to offer our food. Yeah, we're not going to take our food for granted and just slurp it up in one big breath. Yeah, we're going to offer it. Okay. So there's 5 contemplations. We'll recite each one and think about it. Yeah. And then recite the next one and think about it. And then after the 5 contemplations, then there's some chanting we do, which I can explain later if we have more time, but it's all in English, so you should have some idea of what you're saying. Okay? So even though we don't have the food directly in front of us, we're imagining that we do, and we're going to offer them.
I contemplate all the causes and conditions and the kindness of others by which I have received this food. I contemplate my own practice, constantly trying to improve it. I contemplate my mind, cautiously guarding it from wrongdoing, greed, and other defilements. I contemplate this food, treating it as wondrous medicine to nourish my body. I contemplate the aim of Buddhahood, accepting and consuming this food in order to accomplish it. Oma Hum, Oma Hum, Oma Hum. Great compassionate protector, all-knowing teacher, field of merit and good qualities, vast as an ocean, to the Tathagata I bow, through purity freeing from attachment, through virtue freeing from the lower realms, unique, supreme, ultimate reality, to the Dharma that is peace I bow, having freed themselves, showing the path to freedom too, well established in the trainings, the holy field endowed with good qualities, to the Sangha I bow, to the Supreme Teacher, the precious Buddha, to the Supreme Refuge, the holy precious Dharma, to the Supreme Guides, the precious Sangha, to all the objects of refuge we make this offering. May we and all those around us never be separated from the triple gem in any of our lives. May we always have the opportunity to make offerings to them, and may we continuously receive their blessings and inspiration to progress along the path. By seeing this food as medicine, I will consume it without attachment or complaint, not to increase my arrogant strength or good looks, but solely to sustain my life.